Hi there, my name is Kendrick, and today I get to interview Elias. So, Elias, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Kendrick.
Yeah, for sure, dude. So, can you please tell us your full type?
Yes, I'm INTJ, double feminine, NITE, blast, play, consume, sleep. Number one.
Gotcha. And what did you think and how did you feel when you got your typing results back?
It was interesting. I was pretty sure I got it right. So I typed myself as what I look like. So I typed myself well, actually no, I typed myself as TENI, but the same animals. So I got myself kind of close. Um, and so it was I got myself blast, play, consume, sleep. I thought I was TENI. Really thought I was a decider, to be honest. And the sexuals, I had no idea. I was like, maybe I don't think I look double masculine, but I was like, maybe I'm double masculine because my understanding of the sexuals wasn't really there yet. So, but then it was funny because when I looked back at the typing video that I did to see if I can type myself looking at the video, I was like, I'm seeing a lot of channel changing here. I don't know. And so I thought maybe I was TENE, but I was like, I know I don't have SI. So then finally Dave, like it was literally, and then I was like, my friend had told me, oh, dude, I think you're an observer because we were talking about like something political. And every time we do, I always make it not personal. His girlfriend was like, but the people and I was like, but the system, like the government and all that. And so he was like, like he was so dramatic. He's an INTP that I typed him as an INTP. So he was like, you're an observer. And then that night I got my typing results and I was like, there you go. It's the INTJ.
Right.
So
Um, so you just mentioned that you have trouble getting stuck in the people stuff. And when you find a problem, it's something thing related, like the system or
yeah,
government.
I always make it about a system. I don't
Yeah.
really find people stuff boring.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you that some of these people problem stuff is not really a big problem if you just communicated with other person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or it's even we can talk about this later, but it sometimes affects my work because like especially filmmaking in general, it's you gotta talk about the people, like the character comes first. But I find it sometimes people like especially when I talk with a decider, it's like the you me thing I find kind of boring.
Yeah, fair enough. Um, okay, dude. Why don't we go over your parts? Let's start with your anti blast.
Just got a whiff of it, I guess.
I've always found that the craziest cognitive function of all the eight cognitive function is masculine NI. I honestly think it is the most insane cognitive function there is. It is so insane. But I want to hear what your perspective is on that because I do notice a lot of people with masculine NI, they either hate or love it. So I want to see where you are in that camp, or and
Hmm.
also how you personally use that masculine NI to organize your known concepts and patterns, and then present it to the tribe as a solution to their problem.
Yeah. It's funny that you say it. Maybe it is I see. I consider the NEs the craziest. I think the masculine NI is from including myself, and I've really tried to work against it. It's hard because see, like being a glass, it's like sometimes I can't see it. Like I like to think of my functions as like four corners of a room. Like two you can see, like the third one you can kind of see, and then one's behind your head. See, I'm giving you analogies already. But sometimes it's hard to see an eye. For me, it feels like the Eye of Sauron. It's like it's in Lord of the Rings, it's like it's watching and it demands to be respected, but I can't always see that I'm like by the time I realize I'm already trying to come to conclusions, I'm already halfway through coming to that conclusion, if that makes sense.
Right.
Uh, yeah, and so I will say this. So I like for me, believe it or not, I have the same opinion for the TIs, but I feel like the TIs are like stubborn, like really stubborn. And one of my friends are TIs, so I have the
Yeah.
experience with the masculine. But I do agree that the masculine NIs are like, oh, you're just not on this planet. Like you're all in on something that's not even real, you know? And I know that the SEs can be like that too, but it's the like I'm all in and I'm glad I'm all in. Whereas I feel like the SEs are freaking out a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? So from my experience, I'll say that it's brutal. It's an unforgiving function, definitely. And for me, because it's part of my demon sleep, I have trouble with it. But ever since I got typed, and you know, Dave really worked with me. He took a lot of time to really work with me to kind of get to see what sleep is. And what's great is that he has the sleep that I need.
Right.
So sometimes, you know, and you know, he tends to talk about he's got the FI. Well, this is how I, you know, like talking about himself. It actually really works for me because his experiences tend to like, and he's a little bit older than me too. So it's like it tends to really be beneficial for me. But I will say, to answer your question in a more concise way, the masculine NI really does feel oppressive. Like I have to serve it, and I feel like the number one kind of goes along with that as well. It was part of your question that you asked, and I don't remember, but I think I answered it.
Right. The second part was the TE. Like after you've organized
Oh,
that concept and pattern, like how do you present that solution, that NT, you know, and because NT, right? It's problem solving. It's a solution to the tribe because it's a blast. It's an organized solution.
yeah. The T. Oh, so the TE is actually I think it's the function. It's like the easy function for me. Like I see it and it's the one that I go to, but it doesn't really give me try. It's like I nothing it to some degree because I identify so much with it. When I put them together and I kind of get that blast, it's definitely the Dave. As you can see, I've kind of already blasted your head off a bit. It's like I just gotta get it out. I gotta get it out. And if you want to talk about like helping people, it's weird because I think it's I don't know. It depends on if I'm talking from my FI, but I can be a bit like harsh, you know, because it's almost like I don't care about your feelings. This is what's best for you.
Right.
But that's why sometimes I associate with like the visuals, but I do catch my feminine TE when the person's like no or they fight me on it. It's like okay, whatever. You know, I won't keep going. Like okay, that's on you. You know. But if you try to fight me on the actual concept of it, I won't. I won't back down. So it's like no, I'm right about the concept. It's up to you whether you want to work on it or not. You know what I'm saying? Like if you want to do the TE, that's fine, but I'm right about the concept.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense with the masculine NI and the feminine TE polarity there. So I mentioned that I think the masculine NI is the craziest function of the eight because I find that masculine NI, it's such a gamble. You're rolling a dice. And I know a lot of masculine NI people think they're right, that this is the correct trajectory for themselves in terms of where they're going. But, you know, it's a gamble at the end of the day. So
That was the thing. You just reminded me of the thing that I was going to say. How do I feel about having masculine NI compared to like if I had feminine NI? I think I was, I think if I had masculine sensory, I would be a lot more further along in a lot of things in my life, to be honest. Because I just really just throw the sensory away. So
well,
it's
I don't see you falling off the cliff just because you're infodom and you're double activated SE at the bottom. So you have enough sensory coming in to kind of make you hesitant with that masculine NI just a little bit. Sometimes that little hesitation is all you need to not pull the trigger to go over the cliff, right?
yeah. I mean, you know, so it's cunning, but for me, I would say, it's I can at least see when I'm going off the cliff. I feel like a lot of people are over the cliff and they don't even know it yet. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's at least I know, like Dave, what does he say? Like with the IPs, they have that moment where they're like, oh, maybe I suck. I have that with the sensory.
Oh,
Where, oh, the sensory. Wait, did I forget something? Like
yeah,
it comes up every now and then, but then the NI kind of kicks it away, you know?
right.
Yeah.
I want to ask you though about that sensory and the NI together, because Dave said when you squish it together, it becomes like a makeshift NE almost, like you can start seeing the possibilities. Um,
Yeah.
but I did notice for you guys, as I have spoken to other INTJs about this, who are glass lizards, um, the possibilities that you see are negative for some reason.
Yeah. Yes, that's so true. See, this is why I wanted to do this because I feel like you were going to show me some stuff that I didn't know. It's so true.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I was like,
Wow, I didn't think
why
about that.
why can't you see the positive um possibilities?
Oh,
You only see the negative ones. I mean, I don't understand it. I mean, there's both. You
I
know?
gotta think on that, bro. Like you just hit me with a big one there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so true. And you know what's funny? What's so weird is like my wife has a demon any masculine. And it's so weird though, because all day she's looking for the possible things that can go wrong,
Yeah.
but she's way more okay with the chaos. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, it's weird because like I'm always freaking out about how these bad things are gonna happen, but when you throw me into the chaos, it's really a problem. Like I can't adapt. It's why I love the EPs. So congratulations. Like, and so I think it's because it's feminine. Like I just can't, it's almost like my bandwidth gets too low.
So is that how you can explain how you only see the negative possibility? Because when it does happen, you get paralyzed and then you can't roll with the punches, I guess, or roll with the situation, like to adapt at the moment,
I,
or is it because of something else like that's causing the negative projections into the future?
my NI wants to answer this, and I'm gonna take a step back and say I can't. I have to process it. I don't know. I have to sit with this one to give you the answer.
Okay.
I part of it. I do think I will say that I want to be an EP badly. Like I want to SE all day, especially because it's activated on me. And
Yeah.
there's some places where I feel like I get a passing grade on it, but whenever I jump into things, I immediately regret it. Like even if I have a day where I'm like, let's just figure it out as we go. I get so much anxiety because I'm like, I'm not, and then the number one is a whole nother thing that is always hitting me on the top of the head. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I gotta really sit with that one though, only because my wife says it too. She's like, all you do is find what's wrong with things.
Yeah.
So I think that's true.
That's funny. Speaking from an EP perspective, I'm in Costa Rica as we're doing this interview, right? And literally yesterday, I didn't even have any accommodation booked for today, and
Okay.
I didn't have a way out of Costa Rica either. Like I would have been stranded here. So, and
Yeah,
even
I couldn't process that. I couldn't work with that.
right, and I'm just taking it day by day, and I'm here now, and I managed to book some stuff, and everything's okay so far. So it's kind of like the EP life, It's just like just roll with the punches. Things will work itself out. Um, and the possibilities are all there's a way out in terms of like when I future project in terms of seeing all the possibilities because I see the negative and the positive, right, with the NE. So I
Yeah.
can see like, oh, this one is positive, and I know if I take the SI step towards it, uh more pathways will reveal itself, like the
Hmm.
correct pathways. Sometimes you can't make a decision because you don't have the right information, right?
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but then I think the difference between the EP and the IJ is the EP is willing to wait until that information is available to make a decision, even if you have to wait like until the very last minute before you
Mm,
pull the trigger. While the IJ, the need for certainty, is preventing you guys from waiting until you get like the best piece of information to make the better decision. You know what I mean? Because
mm.
uh,
Fast
certain
too.
yeah, and you have FI too, right? So you're gonna freak out like emotionally if
Yeah.
it's not like the TI people. I feel like the TI people are a little bit better with this because they're not emotionally invested to the pathway to the NI, you know. But you guys are like the NIFI.
Oh, that makes sense too. That makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have a little story for you. Like, I went out. We were going. So I take care of my son during the day, and so I usually sometimes, it's a nice day. I'll go to the cafe. I have my little setup. I go to the cafe. I have a nice big cup of coffee to give me the energy to do a nice hike with him. My wife was like, "Let's come. I'll come along, right?" And so we do it. We end up leaving a little bit late, and we get there a little bit late, and the baby's already kind of cranky, and it was a little hot, so she was like, let's just walk through town. And at this point, I already drank my coffee and I was annoyed. And I didn't sleep last, didn't know why. And it was, I was like bickering with her, and she was like, "You don't really want me here, do you?" And I was like, "No, I just thought that we were gonna go for a hike. Like I wouldn't have drank the coffee if we weren't gonna go for the hike." And then afterwards, I was processing. I'm like, I had already done the sleep secretly in the background, and decided I want to go on the hike. I like all of that became immovable, so that by the time that my wife was like just improvising with the masculine OE, I couldn't do it, and that happens all the time with me. Like it's like it's almost like it cements, and I don't even realize that it's already cemented. And that was my reaction was an emotional one. So it's spot on.
Yeah, 100%. And like I'm surrounded by a lot of double feminine INTJs, right? Like personally in my personal life. So I know how to talk to you guys. Like I know when I talk to you guys, like friends who are like your type, like or like similar type, I always have to let you guys know, hey guys, this is the plan, but there might be some deviation here. So because you guys have to mentally prepare. So
Yeah,
if you know there's a deviation here, it's gonna be okay because it's
yeah,
already
then I'm good.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I have to
And,
literally like
and checkpoints.
yes, yeah. I literally have to tell you guys all the checkpoints that's gonna happen. Otherwise, if one checkpoint was not addressed early on, oh my god, it's like what? It's
Yeah.
like um
Yeah, I'm already building. I have tons of stories, but I'm sure you already know it. I'm preaching to the choir here.
yeah. But it's like freak out city if that's not addressed. So it's like that's what I like about OPS is like, oh, you have to talk a certain way to certain types. There is a way to approach, this,
Yeah, it's the ultimate act of empathy. Like it really, that's what I was telling my wife, and it's hard, and we're both NT, so like we're talking the same language. I'm with you. But it's really hard when you're like talking to an ST or an SF and you're like trying to explain the value here. And that's what Dave is brilliant. He really can do it. I think it's the FI. He just knows how to kind of make it about like this is the reality of it. Forget about the coins and all that stuff. And that's something I struggle with. So it's maybe something you can give some advice on. Like of course I got the pretty powerful blast. So I'm always like, you need opposites. You need actually it's your type. Actually, you're blind to the fact that it's your demon. And people are just like, shut the fuck up. And I'm like, and I'll still hit them with it. This is the NI.
Okay, dude, since we're already in this topic, I'm gonna go leapfrog all the way to this. Usually I talk about the sleep animal last, but since we're already talking about this, let's just address
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll
See,
talk about the play and the consume later, because you're
yeah. Well, we're doing the play. So actually, really quick to answer your thing about the NA, I will say I've processed it a little bit, and really quick before we get to that, I will say, um, I do see possible negativity, but it's still looking for closure. It's like these are all negative because this is the right way. And I will say that where for me in particular, and I think my type, and possibly someone like Dave that has the masculine SE, I'm very channel changey. As you can see, we're changing, like I'll always bring it back, but I will channel change similar to an EP. So that's
yeah, I guess that's the double activate SE at the bottom. Like it's just gonna make you more ESFP like, I guess, in some way ish.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, I think the EPs that are crazy, to be honest, the one with NE at least, I think they're the ones with not having ST activated. I think that's the real problem.
Mm.
Because like the traditional ENFPs NEFI, right? So they know what pathway to pursue. Um, but they won't actually pursue it because they won't do the ST steps to pursue it. So that's kind of like the problem. So they become like a dreamer essentially.
Yeah.
Um,
I think sometimes it depends on the masculines too. So I have a friend he's at least like the gist of what I got him
yeah,
is as and he's like a world famous opera singer, but he's got masculine SI. So, but I noticed those freakouts are weirder. Like they're really bad.
the SI freakouts, the paperwork, the paperwork in the
They're
government.
really bad. Like especially during the pandemic or like just little things. Like we were over his house for like food and he wasn't even cooking. He was reheating food and he was like, wait, what are you doing? Don't touch that. Like it was weird. It just and he's freaking out. I'm like, or driving. Oh my God. I don't drive with him anymore.
Funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is weird. Yeah, when you have SI in the bottom, you become really weird about the weirdest thing.
Yeah. And then when it's masculine, it's so weird because, and this is why like I do feel like it would be a different world with masculine SE. And I actually look at the other people of my type that I admire, and they all have the mat, like James Cameron, Steve Jobs. They're not my exact type, but they're INTJs, and it's like
Yeah.
masculine SE, man. Like I just notice it. And then even a couple of the ones that we did recently, a couple of weeks ago, it's just I don't see. I think when we without the masculine S, it's like, woo.
Oh, I hate to say it. I hate to say it, but what you're saying is absolutely true. The types are unfair. There are certain types that seems to have an edge over their type twins. So in your case, yes, the feminine NI seems to be superior to masculine NI because of the masculine SE at the bottom. Just like my type, yeah, it seems like the ENFPs that have masculine NE and feminine SIs seems to have a bigger edge than the masculine SI, feminine NE ENFPs. Yeah.
Would you say that?
What's that?
Why would you say that?
If you just look at people that has a similar type, like Mr. Beast, for example, number one YouTuber in the world, double
Mm,
feminine ENFP, consume, sleep, blast, play. You know what I mean?
mm,
So
yeah.
the steps required to get to the goal is flexible, but the goal is inflexible. And unlike the INTJ's masculine NI, because it's masculine NE, they've actually looked at all the possibilities before choosing the right one. Um,
Yeah.
and Jeff Bezos, who's double feminine ENTP, actually had a similar quote also. I don't know if you've seen it, where he said that the goal or the plan or the vision is immovable, but how you get there is flexible. So feminine SI, masculine NE, right? You know,
Oh, that's so you would put the goal in the NE, not in the SI.
the SI is the steps to get there, and that's flexible. The actual concrete steps.
Oh, I see. I see. So, see, the issue that I would assume that the NEs have is that they're not settling on a goal.
That the feminine NE are not settling on the goal. Like
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, that's good
yeah,
to know.
yeah. The FI is then used to solidify the goal. Like this is what I want. I've seen the
Okay.
pathways. My FI wants this, right?
Oh, I see. And it throws it to the deciders. Okay, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Right, right.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. Except
No,
like yeah, because I've interviewed the masculine NE people, and they said that once they've seen the pathway, like all the pathways, there's always one that just like it feels like gravity that like sucks them in towards that one particular pathway.
okay, that's interesting.
And it seems
That's
to
it.
be a common thing that the masculine NE people have in common. I don't have that. I have feminine NE, right? So um yeah, so I've seen them do have that, and it seems to do wonders, especially when they have ST activated. That's why a lot of the ENFPs that are very successful are play last. Um,
Okay.
they
Okay.
prioritize that
That's
particular.
interesting. Sorry, you cut out there for a second.
Oh, I was just mentioning that as a result of their double activated SF sleep, they can prioritize the pathway that that they want to pursue.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm guessing that like the IPs would, or like just double deciders would also be able to do that too, because those are in the middle, right?
Which
Oh no,
one?
no, because the sleep is yeah, no. Never mind. Sorry. I got it. Um, but what I was gonna say is I have a theory, and it's not really so much of a theory because Dave kind of said it too. Like I feel like the S and the T, there's some because they're the harder functions. I feel like if those tend to land masculine, it's a little easier in a type. Unless it's that's your saviors and it's introverted, then you're all in like Elon Musk, So it all depends. But in general, like I feel like those I'm sorry, not the S and the T, the S and the F, like those two especially, you'll be able to kind of I don't know, like there's like an inner knowing that tends to drive those types.
I mean, I have that. I'm double masculine SF sleep, right? So yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's a double-edged sword, like with anything, because I'm very confident at uh what I personally like. I never I it's so super immovable, but then recently I've been kind of like being more flexible with it, right? Because I know it's not serving me. Because the one thing that I've realized with this whole type thing, like the irony with every single type. ever since I've done all these interviews, the biggest irony is everyone wants to be seen for their sleep animal. But if you don't have your sleep animal double activated, you're going to be using your play and your blast, and people are going to see you for that because that's your extroverted animals. But you
Hmm.
don't necessarily care about being seen for that because that's not what's personal to you. What's personal to you is your sleep animal. So,
That's interesting.
um, and
Huh.
the sleep animal is the area, and if you're sleep last, like us, like both of us, it's gonna be a problem area because we're doing everything in our life except being seen for who we really are, which is freaking ridiculous if you think about it.
And then
Uh,
it's masculine too. So we both have like, right? You have
we
the
both have double masculine sleep. Both of us do, right?
yeah.
But because it's last, we're doing everything else except for the one that we actually want to be seen for, which is absolutely ridiculous. And so the more I thought about it, and it's kind of funny because then you look at the other types, like the ESTP, for example, right? Everyone sees them as like one of the coolest type, right? Especially the SEFEs, right? But that's not what they want. They don't want to be seen for that. They want to be seen for their NT because they have NT sleep, right?
Oh,
So
that's
so
huh.
it's like a something ridiculous happening for every type, like or the ESFJs, they want to be seen for ST sleep, competence. They want to be competent. But
Huh.
then people see them as the caring person. They don't want to care, but they don't want to be seen as the caring person. They want to be seen as the person that gets shit done, right? So it's like everyone is living this irony, especially if you're sleep last, as I mentioned, or sleep demon. Um, and like, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, so the real answer, as painful as this sounds, is your sleep animal needs to be used in a play position almost. And
Mm.
it makes it kind of impersonal because the moment you put it into play, it actually improves faster because you have that tribe feedback on how to improve it faster, right? In my case, it's SF. So, getting feedback on how to improve my SF, right? So I have to look at the SEFEs or SEFIs and see what they're doing, and get feedback from them. And if I feel like I'm kind of resisting what they're saying, I always have to think back. Okay, you have to OE this OI animal because it's a trial and error kind of thing to get the
I
best one.
don't like
What's that?
that. I said, I don't like
Yeah, yeah,
that.
especially you won't like that. You have like your double masculine NF sleep, and
Yeah.
your purpose, what drives you, what's passionate, what makes you passionate. You're gonna let someone like uh contaminate that. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah, yeah, it's
it's
that. It's
like
that. Exactly that.
that's like blasphemous almost. But then
Yeah.
I remember I was
Take
talking
your
to Dave.
clothes off.
Sorry.
It's like taking your clothes off.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh, you might be okay with that because you're double feminine though.
That was
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
what
yeah. I think Dave said like the lead the SEs don't care about that as much as the SIs. But anyways, yeah, because when I interviewed Dave, we were talking about regret, right? And for him being consumed last, it's like I don't know if you saw my interview with him, but
I saw parts of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we were talking about regret in the interview, and he said that when he finally tries that thing that his friends has been harassing him to try for years, a wave of regret comes over, and it's like most horrible feeling you could ever have, like he can have. And then I
He's
was making
missing
fun
out.
of, yeah, and I was making fun of him too, right? I'm like, I bet you blame your friend too for not telling you about this when they've been telling you for years. He's like, yes, exactly. I blame all of them. It's like, why didn't you tell me sooner, right? So it's kind of like that, but like for you, in your case, it's gonna be the sleep, right? So it's like
Yeah.
if you try different like trajectories, not just like something that your FI is attached to, you might be surprised there is a superior one that your FI locks into
Mm.
that now
But
can stack and build up your NIFI even more, you know?
so since we're talking about sleep and we're on the subject of the sleep animal, I will tell you, like for me, I will say with my type, I don't know. I've heard other people in the community say that it's similar. The FI is by far, you would think that it would be the SC, but the FI by far is the hardest function for me. It really is.
Really? Oh,
Uh,
can you share?
it is. I'm sorry?
Can you elaborate?
Yeah, it's because like there's a lot of times because I just can't see it. Like I can't see it. And I don't I don't find feeling valuable, which is funny because it's values, right?
Yeah.
I don't, I kind of lean onto the idea that you should rationalize things and work it out with people, right? And I also tend to kind of do the, the masculine FI when it comes to being emotional. And I just don't see it. Like it's like I'm not using it in my everyday. The only time that I can even get to it, I gave Dave the analogy. I said, it's like being in a room, a dark room, and I hear an alarm going off and I keep hitting my toe on something hard. That's the FI. Like
Right.
I can't get to it. It's like, where is it? The only way I can even get to it is doing SE, and that can be draining because I don't even know what I like. Like, for example, at the end of the day, or if it's a day where like I'm actually done with work, right? I actually have just finished a whole wave, like we're freaking we crash on the energy since we're info down, but like I'll do all this work and then I get this weird anxiety of like there's space here, right? And usually I try to fill it with sensory. I'm like, okay, well, it's time to consume. I haven't watched a movie and God knows when. I haven't played video games. What do I want to do? And that is painful. So, because the only way I can get to it is going, let's try this. So I'll play a video game for 5 minutes and go, nope, that's not it. Let's try this. I put a movie on for 5 minutes. Nope, that's not it. And now I just spent an hour trying different things out. And it usually ends with me going back to something that I already knew I would like, but nothing new. Like a remake of a video game. I love remakes, of course, right? Because I already played the video game and now you're giving me the same thing again, but new, but better,
Right.
So it's frustrating. And then it's like, how else? And then when Dave was talking with me about doing sleep energy, I feel like I kind of do like NT with my sleep. Like I'm trying to make it work. I'm trying to figure it out, but I'm not getting to how I feel because I don't know how I feel. It's really frustrating. It really is. My son has helped with that, believe it or not, having my son. And I'll have those Jordan Peterson moments where just out of nowhere, I feel like I'm just gonna start crying. And it's the feeling, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think it's your social one that's making that happen? And I bring this up because social one tends to have a facade, and sometimes the facade has gotten so out of control that you lost yourself into the facade. The facade is essentially that image you're projecting to the tribe of who you are, essentially. And
Yeah, no, definitely not.
not
Like, yeah, I'm not a facade type of guy. I'm not that. I think that that would be more of a thing if I was more successful in my career or if I was in a place of like management, then I think yes, that would be true. But I'm not there. And for the everyday people, I don't have a facade. I think the number one does have something to do with it though. Um, but I think it's just a lack of activation on FI. Like I'm just not using it. Like I'm consuming, like I just get to consume in the last hour of the day. Like even now, I chose like this is my time to consume because I'm with my son all day. I chose to do play, man, by doing this with you, you know? So it's
right.
like, and God help me if like a friend texts me and says, "Hey, you want to talk or something like that?" Bam, I'm right in it. And since having my son, and since doing being because it was Dave typed me, I mean, I'm so glad I found ops when I did because I found it right when like in the middle of my wife's pregnancy. And that was a hard time because it was just I got hit with that midlife crisis, kind of like, oh, I'm not where I want to be with a lot of things. And so it was a lot of anxiety, a lot of like just the dragon, And Dave gave me the tools, man. He was like freaking Gandalf, oh God.
Mhm.
Gandalf really bad. And I love Lord of the Rings. No, like, he gave me the tools. And one thing that I'm trying to do a bit less is the kind of play because even blasting, like I'm blasting you right now, I'll blast with the play, but like sitting down in front of a camera, blasting is like draining for me, which is weird. I don't know if you feel well, your play first, but yeah.
I feel like you're using a lot of play actually, but maybe because your play and your blast are so intertwined that
They
you,
are.
yeah,
Yeah.
you always bring the tribe into the blast, so the tribe feels involved at all times. Uh,
Yeah.
but no, but blast is super hard for me in terms of sitting in front of a camera and making a video without someone there. Like if I'm talking to you right now, no problem. But
Yeah, same thing.
yeah,
Same thing actually. And even though I'm seeing you like I'm blast first, it's weird because I have the activation on the play. Like I will get drained. Like I can't do what Dave does. Like his format of like I'm just gonna, if I don't get anything back, it just kind of, and then I have to set up the lights. Oh, come on.
okay. I think that's why it's draining, honestly, setting up all this stuff. Because that is me. Like I would make more original videos if my set was already good to go every day.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know, yeah, because I've thought about like that also. Like I've thought about that. I was like, why am I not making those original videos? People like them when I make them, but I get so drained. I don't want to do them, you know. And it's the observer, it's the observer stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that could be what it is. Like even today when we were setting up, I was just like, I gotta be, and I'm actually pissed because I'm wired in and I have wireless ones. Anyways,
Yeah.
to bring it back, see my NI wants conclusion. So to conclude on the FI thing, I will say that I think it has to do with the lack of activation on FI. Like and then I have feminine consume, like so. Oh no, it's not feminine. I have masculine FI, but still, it's
Yeah.
my SC is feminine, so I don't really, and then it's my demon. I don't really want to consume. Is not easy for me. It's weird.
I honestly believe it's your social type because I've interviewed um many people, well, not many people, but enough of your type, the blast play consume sleep, double feminine, but different. They're not social ones, like twos and threes, and fours. They all know their FI, man. So it's
Interesting.
it's
Their sleep pattern.
yeah. So and for me, as someone that is very similar to your type, the only difference is
Yeah.
EP and IJ, right? And obviously the plain blast are switch.
Yeah.
I know my FI really well. Like I've never had problem with it. Even Dave said, "Oh, you seem to know your FI, no problem." You know, it's like, and I should have the same problem as you because when he typed me first long time ago, he said your FI is gonna be your biggest problem, and then later on they're like, wait a minute, there's now seeing like, oh, the function stack still matters. So those ENFPs, even though they're like tribal of self, their FI is still second, right? And
What do
then
you mean?
what's that?
Did you say the function stack doesn't matter?
The function stack still matters, like the grand stack. So yeah, yeah. And then yeah, so I've like when my SF sleep, my problem is the S part of the SF. You know, it's not the F, it's the SF. Like, you know, like let's look at your let's compare our sleeps, okay? So when I was making those explainer videos in the past, I've always seen that each animal has about 4 different aspects to it or 4 different dimensions to it. Okay, so 2 of them is shared regardless of whatever your animal is. Okay, so for example, for both of us, so part of sleep is um preserving energy for self. Okay, that is universal regardless of what flavor your sleep is. Okay,
Yeah.
and then another aspect of that,
So that's why, right? So that would be the OI and the DI working together.
yeah, 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 exactly. And then the other thing that is similar for both of us is we're both processing deep emotions with that sleep, with both our sleeps. However, what we're processing is a little bit different. Okay, you're processing your reoccurring emotional patterns. Well, for me, I'm processing which emotion is the most intense or giving me the most issue. It sounds the same, and it probably is the same in the end, to be honest. Except one can sense for people my type because I'm SI, we can tell you the exact word to describe that emotion. But for you, you have to kind of look at the chart with your SE and see like, okay, which of these word is the pattern that keeps happening?
Oh, I see. You're talking about to get it into the sensory, it's going to be different, but the FI part is still the same.
Right, right. So I'll give you an example. So for me, one of the emotion that keeps coming back to me is frustration, right? And then there's also anger coming from feeling disrespected, right?
What's your social type? Are you a 3 or a 2? 2. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a 2. So for one of them is like, oh, I feel disrespected, so I get angry. So that emotion keeps coming back. And then when I got a chance to process that emotion, I'm like, why am I feeling disrespected? And what? And my question to myself is, how is this my fault? And I said, oh, okay, I get disrespected because I disrespect the SF, and
Okay.
I'm SF last. So when I disrespect the SF, then the tribe disrespects my SF. But I disrespected it before even the tribe did, you know? So it's
Interesting.
actually my fault. So in your case, you have some kind of emotion that keeps coming back no matter what. It keeps looping. Dave said, for you guys, the NIFIs, the goal is to not make the same mistake as you did in the past, especially
Mm.
emotional mistakes, right? So for
Yeah.
you, there must be something that's recurringly happening. Maybe for you, it's not knowing your FI and having that identity crisis almost, or
Yeah.
something. Um, and how is that your fault? So that's not like the first question you have to ask yourself, right? Like, how is that your fault? What did you
Yeah.
do to disrespect uh NF sleep, essentially? You've done something, and it's you know, and
It's a really good way to look at it. It's very mature. It's very, I really like, it's like that, the idea of responsibility, right? You're going to blame other people or you're going to like, take it on yourself. I like that a lot.
yeah, yeah, and that's gonna be tricky for you because, dude, you have NF sleep, like it's NF, like you can't even put into words, like you need someone to help you. It's so annoying, right?
So David said the same thing. It's funny because a lot of my work as a filmmaker, like has been primarily not by choice. Part of it is by choice, part of it by like, the industry in a way. But anyways, it has been working on horror films that are very, are you familiar with like Silent Hill at all?
Yeah.
The You know how
Oh,
it's a lot of
I saw the movie.
what?
I saw the movie.
Okay, this is terrible. But the games are really good, especially like the part two. But the whole point is that like a lot of it is like
I like
going
the
into
movie, man.
really, really. Did you play part two?
No, no, I mean I like the movie. I didn't watch the part two of the movie. Like,
Oh, you actually like the movie. Gotcha. Well, then you really they're remaking part two. This is turning into a nerd talk, but
it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. No,
but
I just like the ending where like Sean Bean went home and his family went home too, but they're not there in the same.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah.
so the kind of like even in the movie, the idea of you're trapped in this interior space and it's dark and you don't know what's going on. And then even the game, like part two, is all about like this person who doesn't remember the past. Something happened in the past and I can't remember it and I'm trying to find the truth. I'm like, that's my sleep energy. Like I realize that, and I write a lot of stories that are like that. These characters that are navigating these worlds that are, um, nefarious and dark and spooky, and it's all for self-identity. Or like there's something about their past that they don't remember that's very dark and tragic. And I'm like, yeah, it sounds like it's my NF sleep. Like that, I'm trying to process that with the filmmaking. So it's really interesting.
It sounds like you need a third party to help you find the SI word for that reoccurring emotional pattern too.
I do.
Because once you know what it is, everything's gonna fall into place.
You
Uh
know, it's funny you said the SI word because there are moments where it's like I already know it, but the person is able to extract it. And my best friend is an INTP, so he has the SI, and he does that a lot. So it's really interesting you said that. It's
yeah,
really interesting. I gotta process that one too. You give me a lot here,
yeah,
man.
yeah, thanks. Yeah, appreciate. Dude, like, no, I mean the NF stuff is good too. When I talk to people with NF sleep, and then they kind of point out to me um the NF stuff that I'm projecting, which I didn't even know I was. That also helps me, right? So I think ultimately, it does help to get like a third person feedback, uh, an outsider's perspective.
Says
It,
the savior sleep. No, I'm saying this. Say it's the savior play.
yeah, it's savior play, but at the same time, it's
It's
necessary.
tools, use them, right?
Yeah, because like that I did an interview um yesterday with Ashley, the
Yeah.
ENTJ girl.
Yeah, I really like
Um,
that intro. And she has similar parts to me. So that's why one of the reasons I reached out to you because I was like, it's interesting. This is a really cool interview.
yeah, and I was trying to like remember because like during the interview, I was thinking about like I wanted to say something to Ashley about like her vibe, right? Her NF vibe, right? And she was also a number one, and I was like, I can't. I'm trying to figure out what the word is for that for that vibe that number ones give. Like you guys, the number one, you have a certain vibe to you that you portray that you give out. Like, and I couldn't quite figure it out during the interview, but after we finished the interview, I messaged Ashley. I'm like, oh, I know what that vibe is. It's strength. That's the SI word. It's strength. Like you guys, the number ones, you have power that that.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh yeah, sorry. A
Yeah.
strength.
Okay.
Yeah. So I feel like the social type number ones exude an aura of strength and power. Whether you're aware of it or not, it's happening. So yeah, so I told that to Ashley, and after I told it to Ashley, I told that to my girlfriend. I said, yeah, I was just interviewing this ENTJ a woman who was the number one, and I can feel her exuding that vibe of power and strength, right? And not only her, but like also the other number ones I've interviewed. Yeah, even before before we started recording, and I was just chatting with you briefly, I was like, oh, I can feel like that strength and power coming up already.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. And then my girlfriend said, because she's lead NF, right? You know, and I'm inside her NF world. So she's like, you also exude something, even though it's not strength and power. I'm like, oh really? What is it? Because I don't know. I don't know what my NF vibe is. She's like, oh, Kendrick, you exude excitement and enthusiasm and positivity. So and that's contagious. And I'm like, oh cool, okay, now I know. So it's kind of like so I would have never known if she never told me that, you know. Just like you, if no one tells you the SI word for that recurring emotional patterns, you're like, you know, you might tell that to someone like, okay, I'm struggling with this and this, you know, XYZ, right? And they're like, that sounds like this exact word. They're like, you're like, holy shit, you know?
Yeah, it's like you got it. That's it. Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing that with me because the animals in general, I'm still making my way through. I'm still trying to figure out, the freaking coins. They're so deep. There's so much to each coin, and we can talk about the sexuals too because that place is a whole another thing. You know, you the man everybody feels their masculines. That one is like you're stubbing your toe on it, whether it's a demon or a savior. But to see, I think what's interesting about the animals is that they're doing more than one thing. Like you were saying, like, I'm Savior Blast, and I still can't tell my Blast Last friends, which is like all of them because they're all INTPs. But it's like I can't explain how to blast. Like I know some of it is teaching, but it's like that's not really, you're not a teacher. So then and then I'm like, it's also producing, but what does that mean? So and then understanding consume also, I have trouble with it. Like you said something in the previous interview with Ashley's her name, I think,
Yeah.
and you said that consume is how you show the world, like your I guess yourself or something to do with your appearance to the world. I didn't understand what that meant, but I was like, how does that work if consume is going
Oh,
inward?
yeah, no,
Yeah,
as I mentioned, every animal has about 4 different dimensions to it, and then some of
yeah.
it is shared. So the one that's shared is everyone's consume is the external is consume is external self-awareness, essentially. Like you become a ghost and you can see yourself from a third person perspective. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and that's
It's like
also
how you see yourself. Kind of like in the Matrix, how you have an avatar. It's like how you see yourself and not actually how you are.
yeah. I mean, the best way to describe is you're a ghost and you're watching yourself, like you're moving around, but you can you're like watching yourself pretty much, and you're seeing how you're behaving, how you're coming across to the tribe,
Yeah.
um, and part of consume is also, um, y what kind of image you're projecting to the tribe. I'll use SF consume and NF consume as an example. Okay, well I'll actually use all the consumes. Okay, so if you look at the ESFPs, they're Dave said they're the coolest type. You can't because he said
God, they're so cool.
yeah, because he was like he was thinking for the longest time. He's like, who's the coolest, ESFP, ESTP, or ISTP? And then at the end he said, it's the ESFPs. And I think it's because of the SF consume, right? It's like they all look really good, and they're all badass and cool. At least from an image standpoint. Although that's not really what they want to be seen at. They want to be seen for their NFC, which is kind of ridiculous. That like they yeah, and then all the ESFPs type themselves as lead NF because they are NF inside and kind of like you are, you know. So it's like, it's like a whole different mess. But that's one part of consume, right? It's like that's the image. But the other types are not doing that. Like that's not the image. Like if you look at Mr. Beast, he has NF consume. And what is he famous for? Doing philanthropy work.
Yeah.
Because that's how he wants to externally be seen. Even though deep down inside, because he has SF sleep, he wants to be popular and cool, right?
Oh, that's cool.
But people are fooled by his philanthropy work, thinking that, oh, he's doing it to do good in the world. Like, no, that's how he wants to be seen by the world, because
Okay.
that's the external projection, right? So if you have SF also, so you want to be externally seen as cool, but internally you want to be purposeful, meaningful, like deep,
Uh, yeah, spot.
so
You know what? Let's talk about that since we jump into consume. I feel like we're gonna make our way back to sleep, but
yeah,
I like this. We're doing this the OE way.
yeah,
I Wow, I gotta process that one because 100%. So a couple of things. First thing is that it's funny in my head, right? I like the image that I always kind of wanted to portray, and that I guess I see myself as and value is that Steve Jobs kind of like smart, but like not in a nerdy way, but in a way that's like, with the FI. And what's interesting is that he's way more processed than me, right? Like when you see Steve Jobs talk, it's like he's got that sleep first, so he's processed. And even though he has the energy, it's never too much energy. And so yeah, it's funny and I used to dress a little bit more like that. I still wear turtlenecks, but but what has happened over time is like my overall look has gotten way more SE. And just in general, I'm like, I tend to, as a number one, I don't look to really people, but I look to like characters for like inspiration. And so, like a lot of the characters that I like are very SE cool guy, SE types. Like, and what is it like the Henley shirt, the short hair, the stubble? It's a very specific look.
right.
So it's really interesting that would be, and it was happening unconsciously. Like my overall look was just changing to that, and I didn't even realize it.
Yeah,
My hair used to be longer. It used to be a very different, more artistic look.
yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, no, 100%. I've always found it like really fascinating. Like if you look at the ISTPs, they're known to be mechanics, right? That's like that stereotype. So
Or
what is
cowboy.
sorry? Or
Or
what?
cowboy.
Yeah, yeah. But like what is a mechanic? Like that's someone that's an expert at something. So that ST consume, their external image is competence. They're competent, right? You know?
Oh,
Or like if you look at the INTPs or the ENTPs, the NT consume, right? What's NT? Problem solving, solutions, aka smart. So they come across as smart, right? So it's but
that's
deep down inside, they have ST sleep. So what they want is to be seen as competent. The smart thing is it's good, but it's not the main one. You know what I mean?
fair.
So for you, you're coming across as cool, but that's not the juice of it. That's not the meat of it. What you really want with the NF sleep is to be deep, purposeful,
Yes.
meaning in
Yes.
life. Yeah, yeah, all that stuff, right? So it's funny that everyone kind of has like a facade, and I do feel like the higher your social type is, the more the bigger the facade is. You know, uh, you know,
Well, yeah, no, that's true. That's true. Yeah. But and even if you're asleep first, the facade will still be different than um how you want to be seen. But I guess it would be more visible, right? A
uh,
little bit
the,
more visible.
it's only visible if I feel like if your sleep is double activated, uh,
Yeah.
because you're
Yeah.
you're just using it so much that people just see it. You know,
Bro, I have my brother-in-law. Okay, so this is a little anecdote here. I'm just gonna throw it out there, but like I feel bad for some types. Like, I have a crazy type, but what I'm thankful for is it's an eclectic type. Like I'm a little bit sucky at everything, but a little bit good at everything to some
yeah,
degree. Um, he's basically Elon Musk. He's TISI, double masculine. Not double masculine. Yeah, masculine on the TI and the SI. So is that double masculine? No, that's yeah, right. I'm trying to remember that sensory and no, no, no. He's audio, but he's masculine sleep, and he's double activated on it, and it's like, and then it's ST. So it's like I'm right all the time. Good luck moving that. You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
that's a hard type. because once they plant their heels, good luck. Like no one's gonna move that because they have the facts to show you, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so it,
It's a double-edged sword though, I feel like, because it's kind of like the NIFI, double masculine. You can
yeah.
yeah, like roll of a dice kind of deal. So um but
I don't know. What I'm saying is that it's like it's hard because for him, right, he should be technically moving towards his FE. He should be moving towards his NE,
yeah,
but it's so hard because you're activated, they're saviors, and it's tied to your identity, and it's masculine. You
right.
know what I'm saying? Like, that's a hard set of cards, you know?
Yeah. Okay, I get what you're saying now. Yeah. Yeah. Now I can see that being a challenge.
It all stacks on one side, is what I'm kind of saying.
Yeah. Yeah. You're all in your saviors, like to the max. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Good luck with trying to move that.
Yeah.
I have trouble trying to move my NI. Like my NI, if I even if I see it, I can't move it. Like there are times where I'm getting more aware of what I want to do. And even though I'm like, I have to do this thing, or no, I shouldn't, I need to pay the bills. It's like, no, go do the NI thing. It's like, but the bills can wait. It's like forget about the sensory. I get punished, you know?
Okay, since we're talking about sleep again, I want to ask you. So, the other aspect of NF sleep is having a code that you adhere to. Okay, a personal code, a mantra.
Mm,
Okay,
mm.
you have one like that. It's like your guiding light, you could say, but it's in a form of a saying usually, right? Like I've seen a lot of NF sleep people have this. Like Steve Jobs has several actually that he uses. Um, like one of his guiding end of sleep is stay curious, stay foolish, right? Which is like a very EP thing to say, which is really good. I think really a growth mindset code. Stay
Yeah,
curious is like gather pretty much, right?
yeah,
And then
yeah,
stay foolish is like don't be afraid to make mistakes. Essentially. So
yeah.
yeah, that's a really good growth mindset in my opinion that he uses, right? So um yeah, so and I've seen other types have some sort of saying, whether that be Jocko Willink, the ESFP guy, discipline equals freedom. That's his mantra. That's his code.
Oh yeah,
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 and
yeah.
that's NF sleep right there, right? Or David Goggins is like, have a callous mind. That's his saying, right?
Yeah,
Callous mind means like you've done so much to yourself that your mind is callous. Now no one can hurt you. That's why it's both called "Can't Hurt Me," right?
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like, so
Stealing people's souls.
sorry.
Stealing people's souls, he
That's
says. He likes to steal people's souls.
Oh yeah, yeah. He has a lot of sayings, So yeah, yeah, yeah. But like, so do you have a guiding kind of like mantra or phrase that kind of like guides your decisions in your life, and this essentially creates the positive NIFI patterns because
Hmm.
it reinforces that, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So do you have one?
Uh,
Not yet.
what were we gonna say?
No, my question is, do you have one or not yet? And you're gonna
I
hopefully.
may, I may. So I'm trying to say this in not a blasty way because sometimes it's like just get to the point. Um, I have always very much been I don't have one that's super set. It's the short answer, but like I've always been I'm a martial artist and I've come from a family of martial artists. So like the way of the samurai has always been very strong for me. But it was a little too SI, I think. So as time has moved on, I kind of moved away from that. I will say I'm a big okay, it would probably be no fear because I'm like something that was really really changed my life, believe it or not, was Green Lantern. So the comic book, like I told you, I look to imaginary people, and he's literally an ESFP. He's the definition of an ESFP, like leap before you look and stuff like that.
Right.
And the whole premise of like Green Lantern and like at the core of it is that will is overcoming fear. That's what it is, and that you have to move forward into the fear. Like whatever the fear is, move towards it. That's how you do it. So, I like sometimes when I'm really stressed out, I'll say the Green Lantern or just to kind of ground me as like a mantra. But no fear, I guess, would be the crux of what it is. So
Right.
maybe that. But I gotta meditate on that. I definitely don't have any other like anything that's verbalized, but maybe I'm working towards that. I don't know.
No, I like what you have. I think that's a good one for IJs.
Yeah, I
Because
think it is. Yeah.
yeah, because I feel like for IJs, a lot of things that hold you guys back is the fear of the unknown, right? So
Mhm.
I think that Green Lantern analogy that you shared, I think that is a good way to break through that.
Yeah.
I like how your code has an image to it, like the Green Lantern image. So I think that's also really good. You add another layer to it, which I think is which is awesome. I think that that gives it like an extra.
Ring.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, it's an extra plus you have the actual ring too. So, yeah,
And it's gotten me through some tough times. Like it really has, because it's like whenever I'm freaking out about something, and I saw that Dave and Shan do this, and it's like, where's my fear? Because it gets, again, it gets behind you, you
yeah.
know?
So it sounds like you're doing a lot of sleep, but they're subconscious kind of like you're not like consciously tapping into it. That's why you don't know how you feel, but maybe you do, but not. But
I'm doing it more. So since I have my son, I'm kind of forced to, because I stay at home, I watch him all day, and so I have to say no to things. It's not so much that I can't do it. It is hard with the FI, but it's more so that I'm too busy blast playing all day, So now with my son, I play with him, but for the most part, I have time to do sleep energy, It's like, but it's still not like devoted. It's not like I'm gonna meditate. It's more like the in-between moments, or like if I'm out walking with him or on a hike and stuff like that, I tend to get to it a little bit more.
I'm curious. So like during our interview, you kept referencing friends, but your friends last because you're a social type one. How do you feel about friendship? Um, like, are your friendships genuine friendships, or because I've seen social type ones approaches differently. Every social type one has a different approach to this. Like there are social type ones that have no friends at all. There are social type ones that um they have a lot of shallow friends, but they don't have any real friends. The friends are used as a stepping stone to get somewhere, but they're not really real
I have
friends.
yeah.
Yeah. And then there are social type ones that have real friends, but they see them like once a year or once every 2 years. Like they're like they like the idea of having a friend, but they keep them at arm's reach. And then
Yeah.
they'll still visit them, but very like rarely. Um, so I don't know which camp you are when it comes to the friendship thing. Because you kept mentioning earlier you have like INTP friends and all this stuff. And I'm like, so where are you in this camp?
All two. So and it's I'm kind of like all of those to some degree. I've always been someone where it's like I'm doing this end thing, and you're only my friend if you're with me on this like NT project. Usually it's a film or some sort of story thing.
Sure.
And so I kind of weed you out right there. Like if we're not working together on something, or we're not creative, we can't do the creative play energy, kind of not interested. And then after that, it's like, are you competent? Oh, you're actually competent at the thing that I want to do. I want to be your friend more, And it seems like it's kind of like I'm going to use you, but even people that are not super competent, but they're trying very hard, I'll still kind of want to like help them out. And it is very much a feeling of like I'm pulling them forward, which is not really the reality of it. I know that, but it's how it feels.
Yeah.
Um, but as I've gotten older, especially like with having my son now, it's like I don't really have time for people that are not necessarily moving on the projects that I want to move on. And also to kind of sit down and talk about baloney. Like even with this, like with ops, I've really taken the time to try to study it, but it's still kind of like I study it on the go. I don't sit down and type people. I rarely will do things like what we're doing right now. Because everything kind of goes on to trying to move forward as a filmmaker. And so the friends that I have, they've kind of proven their friendship, I guess, But once you kind of get over that, you're family. So I do talk to them a lot. Um, I don't meet up with them as much because I live further away from them. But if I was in the city, I would meet up with them. But again, when we sit down and talk, it's usually about what are we going to do? Like, what's the next project? Let's talk creatively, or ops. Ops actually has been a very good conversation starter.
I see. So your friendships are not FI friendships; they're TE friends.
Yes, you got it. They're TE friends. And then you get to my FI. Yeah.
But it sounds like you have no friends in the FI. It sounds like the only one in your FI is your son and your wife, pretty much.
Um, well, I don't want to say that because they eventually, it's not like they're disposable. Like it's not like if they didn't work with me on this stuff, I wouldn't be their friends. I would just probably talk to them less. You know what I'm saying? Like I still care about them and I do talk about things that isn't work, and I care about their path and what they're going through in life, but it's also because I want to help them get to their goals as well, if that makes sense. Yeah, I guess that is TE. I don't know. I don't know what the difference between a TE friend and an FI friend would be.
Well, an FI friend is someone that you like, even if they're toxic or they're not like someone that's necessarily like working with you with a TE. Because you know
Oh, okay. Got it.
le-
Yeah, no.
yeah, I'll give you a good example. So Dave said that number twos are kind of like number ones, where they are more picky when it comes to picking friends. But unlike the number ones, who's already dumped everyone that is dead weight, essentially. The number twos, if for some reason you got in their you know, DI when the number two was young, like either like elementary school, high school, or college, then they'll stay there and they're poisoning the number two when they should be dumping them.
Oh, yeah, I think I heard him mention that. Like, yeah, yeah. I know he's struggling with the 1-2 thing right now because I think he has some big things on the horizon. But I think that that's very I think that yeah, I agree. And it's funny because I recently had that. Like I have a friend from kindergarten that I've known all this time, and we actually were gonna make a film company together. And then like he got married and he kind of gave up filmmaking, and then he kind of just went off and did the white picket fence thing and became more political and more. And then it's just like I recently saw him like a couple of months ago, and I'm like, I got nothing to talk to you about. I don't really, I love you like a brother, but you don't always see family. Like some family you just see once a year, you know? So I've kind of like taken a step back.
Oh, okay. So that's okay then. So that's like the other example then, the arm's length friend. Like you
Yeah, but for those, but then everyone else is TE friends, I guess.
there
Yeah.
you go. So you do have a friend. It's just that it's just this one dude, and it's just like the rare occasion, which is it still counts. Still counts.
Yeah, yeah, I won't complain. I'm not there yet, but as of late, it's been kind of hard.
Yeah, yeah. It's all good. It's all good. No, no, that's interesting for sure. But like because like I said, I've talked to different number one, so I want to see like the spectrum of like the friendship stuff.
Yeah,
And
it's pretty within the number one. It's there. Like there are times where I'm like, am I really a number one? And yeah, that's
yeah.
definitely because I'm not a three. I'm definitely not a three. I don't specialize at all. So,
Well, earlier you said you had like a lot of
and,
decider.
it's funny. Speaking of like,
Sorry.
oh, what were you saying?
Oh no no because I just wanted to say that at the start of our interview you said that you type yourself as a decider, and I think it's because of you being
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. You know what happens? It's weird. It's interesting. And I don't know if, because when you mentioned the blaming people thing with Dave, I don't know if it was in the interview or right before it. Um, I was like, I'm wondering if this is the glass lizard thing where like I will blame people for the observer problems. So like if I don't know, I put the baby down and then a loud noise happens and then the baby wakes up, I'm looking for the person to blame who made the loud noise. You know what I'm saying? Like I have to personify the sensory problem on someone. It's weird. I don't know if that's because of my type or if it's just a normal thing that most, IJs do.
I mean, it's possible you're looking for the source of the chaos, right? So that's what you're doing.
But I
But
won't get angry at the thing. You know what I'm saying? I get it like if a dish fell and broke, right? It's like I'm not gonna get angry at the dish. I'm gonna get angry at the person that put the dish there and caused me that sensory chaos. You were so inconsiderate to me. Very very EJ like.
yeah, I
It's
guess
not
that's
fair.
you being weird with the sensory and whatnot. So, and you're all
What do you say?
that's just you being weird with the SE plus double decider. I feel like that's what's
Yeah.
happening. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I was gonna say with the social type really quick. I don't know if you find this, but I feel like the best analogy for the social type is sort of like a charm that you get. Like, you ever play like fantasy games that have all these stats and
Yeah.
then you get a charm and it buffs a stat? That's what the social type for me feels like. Like my number one buffs DI, even though it's demon, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like it buffs my DI and it buffs my play a little bit, you know? Would you agree?
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense actually. Now you bring it up. It is a buff, like an aura, like you got
Yeah,
like
exactly. It's like
yeah,
it's like part of the functions, but in it, you know?
yeah, it bumped up the DI attributes.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, 100% that definitely applies. Like number two is the consume, it gets bumped up, or whatever. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, because if you look at Dave, he was consumed last. Like no one has watched more like people on YouTube. Like
yeah,
he's consumed last for God's sake. And how many videos has he seen of like he has to watch videos to type people. So and he
yeah.
gets watched so much,
I
right?
thought about that a lot.
Yeah,
Well, you could say, well, it's in his NI, and it's like, sure, but still, it's like I have demon consume, and where's consume for you? It's you also have demon consume, right?
I do,
You're
but I have it as my first and second function, so it's not gonna be as hard as
oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just like it's interesting. It's like I become another person. It's like everything kind of throttles down. Like when you're doing like we're doing a video like this and then it kind of gets blurry and gets glitchy. That's what it feels like. And then I immediately am thrown into the sensory. So it's interesting because I'll immediately start looking at the time. And while I'm talking, time is not a thing. But as soon as someone else starts talking, and it's not that I don't want to listen to them, I just become aware of the time. It's
Yeah.
really yeah, or like if like I have a cut or something, like I become just more in the sensory.
Yeah, maybe, or maybe you have ADHD or something, like
I mean, there's a connection with the OE and ADHD. So
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I have it, so it makes sense, So, um, yeah, 'cause, like if you look at Dave, like double masculine SF consume, right? And then social type two. So it makes sense why he's doing all the consume, right? For at least for that for OPS, you know what I mean? And then someone that has like the friends coin. I've seen people who are like double introverted, sleep, consume, consume, sleep. So extroverted because there are four. This is because they're four. They love people. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You know,
yeah, they're big buff. Yeah,
yeah. Or the threes,
oh, I like that
the
actually.
blast last threes, right? You're blast last, but then you're specializing and you can still do it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah. I have an ISTP friend. I you know he's really hard to see his animals because he's an IP and he's freaking mumbly Clint Eastwood type.
yeah,
But it's like definitely like consume. Definitely he's got the consume here, so it's definitely consume. But like consume sleep, and I'm like, how? But he's always kind of like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Hey, do you want to try this out? And I'm like, this SE is off the hook, and I'm like, but it shouldn't be so. Like you shouldn't be having these like observer problems, but I got him as a two, and I'm like, oh, it's cranking you up. Even though you're still mumbly and introverted, that aspect, like the friends and the almost the play energy to some degree is cranked up a little bit more than normal.
right. Well, it's
Yeah.
it's kind of like you too. Your friends last, but you're double activated play. So you're gonna be
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you're gonna be more friendly than the average one, you
Oh,
know.
that makes sense. That's what Dave said. He says, I don't know. Are you a two? Are you an asshole two or a friendly one? I think you're a friendly one. I'm like, okay.
An asshole too, that's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Um,
think.
all right, dude. I think the last thing that we haven't covered in this interview is your sexual modality. So we can talk about being a tester and visual. So tester is smell. Um,
By the way, I really don't. I don't understand what the hell it means. A tester.
well, tester is smell, right? So and it's learning and also memory. So with smell, certain scents will bring you back to a certain moment in the past, and emotions that you felt in that moment.
Okay, I see. I see. So that's what the tester is?
Yeah, yeah. Plus, like the need to try like a scent or a taste.
Oh,
There's like a compulsion to it. Like you have to try. Like a lot of testers are foodies, for example. They just have to eat different stuff, right? You know.
oh. I I can't speak to that. I like cooking and I do like trying new things, but it's weird. I grew up in New York City, so my sense of smells was just completely obliterated. So I
Okay.
can't tell you. Maybe that's what it is, but I don't feel particularly. I mean, I do get the nostalgia thing with smells, but I think everybody does.
No,
So, oh, really? Not
no,
everybody gets.
no, that's a tester thing.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I definitely get the nostalgia with the smells. I'll tell you that much. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. There you go. So for you, the nostalgia factor is that's how the tester is coming out for you.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think a little bit of the well, I definitely have a lighter frame. I'm not like a heavy like my sister, she's same type as Zendaya. And like you try lifting her and she's got a little bit more weight, you know. It's like it's just interesting to see the difference in the muscle. Even my son, like I think you have masculine sensory because you like breaking things and you're really heavy. Like his cousin is a couple of months older and he's way lighter than my son. So I'm like, that's interesting, you know?
Yeah, not 100%. The kinesthetic thing definitely that plays a huge part. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's the other aspect of the sexuals. I'm trying to think.
Or
The body, right?
yeah,
The
you're
double.
like a little bit more wiggly, and then your hand tends to be limp. Your fingers tend to be limp. Uh,
I don't know. I can't speak to that. What I will say is this. And I was thinking about this one a lot. Like for the double feminines, like when they were talking about cat and dog energy, I feel at least I can speak for myself in this regard, and a couple of my friends you know I've typed as double feminine, is this sort of like reflective, yeah, reflexive, right? Like if the double masculines are like on the offense, like for us, it's like almost like the anime character. You know what I'm saying? Like if the American ideal character is the double masculine, I'm gonna just get you, I'm gonna punch you because you make me so angry and we'll figure it out. Like I feel like the double feminine is more like, at least for me, it's like that's the line. The moment you cross that line, you're dead.
right.
You want to do that? It's that type of thing, you know? Like it's much more like I'm gonna react. And even as a fighter, I'm a counter fighter. So
Yeah, that makes sense. Anderson Silva is kind of fighter-ish too, right? He's double feminine, and he was like the best striker in the UFC for the longest time, right? So,
more
um,
wiggly than me. I'm not stiffer than that, but
yeah. Well, you're not lead SE. Your SE is at the very bottom, so it's not you're not gonna be in. Yeah, you're just not gonna be like him. Although that could be limiting belief because one of the best UFC fighter of all time is GSP, and he's an INFJ. So
there you go.
so
And I got double activation.
exactly, exactly. And then you have the visual. I guess you have a visual memory too, and you learn through seeing.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. It's weird though, because, and this is something, to kind of go back to the sleep in some ways. I get lost sometimes when I'm inside my head. So and I think it's the OE constantly channel changing me a bit.
Yeah,
But uh, the same thing with the visual. Like and so when I'm working on as a filmmaker, like I will literally see the scene, I'll see an image and then I'll be able to kind of bring it up, but it's not as intense as the visuals, where, and I've noticed that because like I said, my sister's visual and it's just a different, again, like Dave said, and I think Shan said it, it's far more punchy. I don't have that punchiness. Like my visuals, again, I want them to be a little bit more minimal, but it's also like it's not, I can't see every single thing in it for the most part. It's like a gist, if that makes any sense. You
yeah.
know?
No, it makes sense. I've seen the double feminines visuals versus the actual visuals. There's a big difference, for sure.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, dude. I have one last question and we'll wrap up the interview. So the last question actually is uh something that you've actually just been talking about, which is filmmaking, the visuals and whatnot. Somewhere along those lines. And I think being a number one does benefit you in this situation. Um, my question then is Dave has always said that number ones are delusional. Okay. And that's a good thing because when you're making a film, you have to be delusional. You have to make shit up to and make that shit up come true, right? That vision, right? So, um, I've always seen it as a good thing, personally. Like I don't see the delusional thing as bad, especially if
So you
you can back it up. Sorry, did I cut off? Am I back? Am I?
Yeah, you cut off. Yeah, when you were saying I don't see them right around there.
Oh yeah, no, I was just saying that I don't see being delusional as bad is what I was trying to say. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so like I kind of want to ask you when it comes to being a number one, like what is your vision for yourself that people might think is delusional, but for you, it's just like a matter of time, depending on how hard you work on it, to make that delusion a reality.
Oh, that's easy. You gotta take over the world.
But in what sense? Like, what does that?
Well, so my goal is to be working in Hollywood as a Hollywood filmmaker. And I want to actually kind of, if you want to get more delusional, I kind of want to derail it. I kind of want to do what George Lucas did. He was like kind of like, screw you, I'm doing my own thing, and then Hollywood came to him type of thing. So, um, yeah, but that's the level I want to be operating. I want to be like Steve Jobs' visionary, which is I know a bit out there, but I want to bring that kind of innovation to film.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean George Lucas did something special to the Hollywood scene, right? Like no one believed in the Star Wars. No one thought anyone was gonna watch this spaceship movie, and
Yeah.
so
Brennan did it on his own, and he created this like whole like thing that changed the industry, you know. And I really respect that, or even how Steve Jobs like was just like, no, we're doing it this way, and he created the most profitable company. So I feel like it's the NF, it's that NF kind of like if you do it the right way, the world will be changed for the better.
I think we're now in an age where indie filmmakers can actually make it happen because I think before you couldn't. And the problem with being in Hollywood is they seem to refuse to try something original nowadays. It's a lot of remakes, right?
Yeah.
Because it's all about money, right? So, and of course, it's always about money, but I think you can be original and make a lot of money, like Star Wars did.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
so
just it's risky. A lot of it has to do with math and numbers and like it all really came down to this is my NI concluding, but it really I've spoken to people that are higher up. It's like when Netflix brought streaming, it just destroyed everything. So no one knows how to make money now making movies. That's really what it comes down to.
fair enough.
Yeah.
I guess unless you're established already, it's kind of hard being like the new guy, you
But
know.
yeah, and look at Warner Brother. All these different companies are selling off their assets because the streaming is not making money. So it's like just get an IP and soak it for all it's worth. That's kind of what they're doing to just keep their head above water until something new kind of presents itself. So I've been trying to use my NI to get ahead of that, but it's hard because there's just a lot of limitations. Like movie theaters aren't going to necessarily come back, in the way that it was. There's just too many limitations, and yeah, streaming is not going anywhere. So I think it's going to be something to do with the internet, and AI, like more of it, like you said, more of like an individualization of filmmaking, you know.
Yeah, I mean, people still go to the movies because you can go there on a date or something, right? It's still like,
Of
yeah, yeah,
course, but it's not like the box office doesn't bring in money. It doesn't bring in nearly the amount of money, excuse me, to pay off a film. That's
yeah.
why they have straight to stream.
Right. No, that makes sense. Yeah. Like unless it's like those rare ones, like the Top Gun Maverick or something,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, or like Oppenheimer. And that's a lot of that is marketing,
Oh,
but
oh,
yeah.
oh, oh, Avatar, because you can't watch it through streaming. You have to go to the theater to watch it.
See, look at my man James Cameron innovating a new thing, right? This is what
Yeah.
I'm saying. That's going to be the kind of thing. But even with the theater, right, there's a limited amount of seats and there's a limited amount of time, right? Space and time. So that's the limitation. Whereas on streaming, there's no limitation to the people and people can pause it whenever they want. And that's kind of where the battle is. So there's a limit with how much money you can make on one, you
Yeah.
know?
But I think that guy, what's his name? James Cameron is smart because in a sense that he's not a number one, he's a number two. So he
You're
sees
number two?
he's a
Oh,
number two, yeah.
I think for number one.
I could be
Oh.
wrong. I thought he was a number two when they were making videos because they did a video on him. They said he has like that number two savior syndrome or something. Like
Oh.
yeah,
He feels very. Oh, I see what you're saying. Kind of like, yeah, like that. We have to like the gather people together and protest type of thing. I see.
Something like that. I don't know. But like, because when you have the friends going, you're taking people into consideration in your vision, right? So when he makes those movies like Avatar, and you can only watch them in theaters. So it's like the people are involved because like, oh, you're experiencing this amazing world with other people in the theater, and you need to have this technology that you can't have at home. Of course you can have it, but no one's gonna buy it. Like the average person's not gonna buy it, you know. Like so most people are gonna watch in a theater. So like he seems to have found like a combination of like anti solution, which is like have this technology that um creates a barrier to entry that streaming cannot compete
Yeah.
against, and then
Yeah.
also uh you know taking advantage of like the movie theater setting in terms of like having people together and stuff watching it, right? And then the word of mouth spreads like wildfire, and then everyone
Yeah.
watches it. You know what I mean?
Nolan is like that too with IMAX. I wonder, like someone said that he was a decider. I always thought that he was like SITI, but I could be wrong. He might be. After watching Oppenheimer, here's the other thing that's kind of interesting is, and this is where like the ops has been so helpful. You can really, and I think Dave and Chan talked about this. You can really see a person's type through their film. Like Oppenheimer's like this guy is so info dumb. It's like it's not even funny how info dumb Christopher Nolan is in his films. Like it's just so
Oh,
expository,
so he is a decider. I thought Oppenheimer was a shitty movie, and
I thought it was a shitty movie too, to be honest. But what I find interesting is that it's this TI guy who's building this thing, and no one sees the appreciation for it, and that even when he does do it, there's no jubilee. There's the opposite of jubilee. So I'm like, this feels kind of like and then he has home, problems at home. Like this kind of feels like an INTP kind of problem.
yeah.
So INTP. So, but yeah, yeah, we should put him on the list. I feel like he'd be interesting. Him and David Fincher, I think would be interesting to type.
Right, gotcha. All right, Elias, we'll wrap up the interview here. So, dude, thanks for reaching out to do this interview. We also did it last minute, which is awesome. I love that.
Yeah, yeah.
Spontaneity. Yeah, the OE, yeah, for sure. So, yeah, man. Um, I hope to hear more about your NF sleep in the future. So,
Yeah, yeah,
see what.
man. Anytime. It was a good conversation, and you taught me a lot, so thank you.
Yeah, no worries, dude. All right, take care.
All right.